Hey everyone, Stephen Andrew Bolin here with the Proverbs 2717 YouTube channel. And normally I do happier interviews. And the last interview I did with Stephanie here was a happy interview. Talented young lady, she's a doula, but she's got kind of famous here recently, and it's not for great reasons. You want to kind of share what's going on?
Yeah, so the last time we spoke, I had mentioned to you about how I was a little bit into real estate, and it was just enough to kind of keep me going as I was working as a doula and pursuing midwifery. So since then, um, I've not had a great, I guess. So what happened was I was in the process of my only that I have, which was a rental property. My tenants were in the process of moving out of that property, and I was working through trying to find somebody that was able to go in there and kind of fix it back up enough to get it ready for the market again. And so when my contractor went to my property, he had walked in and realized that it had been completely demolished. Destroyed. I guess the structure's still there, but I had a break-in, and the people came in and just completely just ripped out everything that they possibly could. And stole my like AC condenser. They stole everything they could, like wires and coppers, and they destroyed everything in the process. Um, so that's kind of where I'm at with that one right now. So it's been really hard and challenging because um, that was like my only main source of income for me and my children, which I was already struggling with things as it was because my tenants were there for they lived in that property for about 5 years.
Mhm.
So I was kind of just getting hit with so many things like all at once. And so that just really did me in completely. So where I was once really struggling to figure out what I was going to do with things that I didn't have insurance on the property. So they did about like around $15,000 worth of damage to the home. Um,
And we
so
have we have some of that footage. I'm gonna go ahead and share the video that was on your local news station. And then after we talk about that, we can go into the video that you sent me that I don't believe anybody else has seen. I think you
but
handled it very respectfully under the circumstances. I think you
um,
handled it like a A.
I'm glad you think so. It was definitely overwhelming and scary in the moment for sure.
I'm all right. I'm gonna go ahead
So
and share this first one, so everybody can kind of see what we're talking about. And this is your home, right? This is your rental
so this
property.
was Yeah, so this was my rental property. It was like I said, my only main source of income that I had that was coming in with it. The day that I found out about this was actually on the 19th of November, where my contractor, I was headed out of the house. I had a banquet that I was putting on and hosting. So I was actually getting ready to go out of the house to go do that. And my contractor that I finally worked out a deal with him swung by there before going to church on that Shabbat. And he walked into the house being in this state of repair. Um, so
How long
it
do you
looks like,
guys reckon that it had looked like this from when your old tenants had moved out to where it was discovered in this condition?
so so my tenants were supposed to be out by, at the end of the month of October.
Hmm.
However, as they were trying to move, they realized it was a lot more complicated to move out than they thought it would be. So they were there just day by day until they could get everything out. So the day that I met them, so there's a video, I don't know if I sent that over to you or not. They do play that, a little clip of that in the news reporting here.
Hmm.
But they had put I was there on November 2nd, and I did like a walkthrough real fast. They were still had some items there outside, and not anything really inside. It was kind of still a little bit messy, just
Hmm.
dirty, not even messy. But they were still working through all that. And so that was November 2nd. And then they went back there on November 8th. I hadn't been back out there. I didn't see a need for it because in that time period, I was trying to find somebody that was going to be able to work on it for me. I didn't have all the funding that I needed to get it fixed up because I was going to put new floors in. I was going to do painting and put a new shower surround kit in there. And so I
Yeah.
was trying to work out something with the contractor. I was going to give them my van, sell them my van for them in return to do the work. So I was in the process of working that out. So they were there. My tenants were there on November 8th. They actually just had their fourth baby. She went into labor that night, and then they were in the hospital for a few more days. So they weren't able to get back out there until when they were there on November 8th. Everything looked like how it was when they first left and when I had
Right.
last seen her. And then on November 13th, after they had the baby, they were able to go back out there. There was a few other items that they had left behind that they wanted to grab outside, which was like a rim and a muffler and some other things. And they went back out there on Sunday, November 13th, and they had seen in the back window that it looked like there was some drywall taken down. So they thought I was actually in the middle of like remodeling it. I obviously was not. So they didn't think anything of it to tell me or say anything because they thought I was in the middle of like remodeling or something. And so that was
Hmm.
November 13th. And then by the time I got everything worked out for financial and everything to get everything ready for it to be re-rented, my contractor went out there on Saturday, November 19th. So this was, 6 days after my tenants had saw that it would look like I was remodeling a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's when it was completely destroyed. So even from the time, so for anywhere between the 8th and the 13th is when they had started the damage, ripping out everything. And then by the 13th to the 19th is when they completely destroyed it and demolished, completely ripped everything out. So
And there's a
um,
lot more footage here that I want to show them that shows the
yeah,
damage that she's talking about.
going through and taking the news reporter through the property. And so on that day of, so it was a Sunday after, whoop, my phone just dropped. The Sunday after I got the phone call from my contractor is when I posted in our community. So this is in House Springs. It's
Hmm.
about 30 minutes from where I live. And I had posted in one of the community, House Springs community groups, how someone had broken and vandalized and just destroyed everything. And I didn't have insurance on it. And so they literally just took everything from my family that I've been working hard for and just completely destroyed all of that. And so I had posted that in there in that group. I maybe had about 30 people who had reacted to it. And then on Monday, so that was on a Sunday, that Sunday after I found out. And then on Monday, I had this news reporter reach out to me, and he tried getting a hold of a couple of my friends. My friends were reaching out to me, and they're like, "Hey, this news reporter wants to do a story on your what just happened." So
Yeah.
I called them. I called the non-emergency line for the police on that Sunday, left a message, and then on Monday, before I called back the news reporter, I called the non-emergency line again and to let them know so I could file this report. Um, and they wanted me to call them back once I got to the property because I was like an hour away. But I called the news reporter; they were about an hour away too. So I met them at my property when I pulled up. So I was already expecting someone to be there because I was supposed to be meeting the news reporters. And when I showed up, I did not see the news reporters, but I actually was confronted with um,
Well,
somebody
let's
else
hold
on my
off. Let's
property.
hold off on that. I want to share that
Okay.
last because that's the most bizarre and violating part of this whole story. Um,
Yeah,
Let me finish playing this video for them, and then we'll talk about the feelings you were going through. You look devastated in this picture.
I'm totally devastated. I'm still devastated. So yeah, they're showing that video clip there, I guess, of what it looked like right after. That was November 2nd. And this is my tenant that I had for about 6 years. They were in this particular property for about 5.
Okay.
And they were pregnant with their first child when they moved into my property. And so they just had their 4th child. And they didn't want to move out. I mean, at all. My tenants, we were trying to work out a deal for them to be able to stay, but I just wasn't in a position to try to work anything out with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the outside of it. I mean, they ripped through to where even the siding was coming off in some of the spots. Like there's holes where you could see outside because they just demolished it. There, and the thing about that is I mean, they probably got like $50 worth of electrical or wire or copper. Like they
But
did
cost you
thousands.
15,000.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous. Like they did so much damage for something that literally probably they got like $50 for copper from that. The AC unit alone, I bought that about 2 or 3 years ago, and I paid about $3,000 for that one. Or I got a new AC unit in there, um, and got that taken care of. So, but that was that was like at least $3,000 just for that. So
Now you did start
that
a
I paid for.
GoFundMe, right?
Yeah, I had my sister set something up for me. Actually, Rosie in the group chat here, she had posted that like, hey, maybe they could, put something on the news. And I had saw that and immediately I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I
Yeah.
texted the news reporter and asked him like, hey, could you guys share like my PayPal or Venmo if someone wants to help contribute? And I'm so thankful that she mentioned that at that time. And so I was able to have them do that. I haven't gotten a whole lot from there. I think my sister checked it last. I had under $600, which is crazy because you think that being on the news like that, that it would get more traction as far as like people willing
Yeah.
to like help or do something. But that's definitely not been my reality at all. Like it's actually even more upsetting and devastating because I'm like, this sucks, like really bad. Because I guess the stereotypical of like, oh, you just everything comes together so perfectly and
Now,
like, oh, you're gonna be so taken care of.
how much would the insurance have costed you every month? The homeowner's insurance.
I don't remember exactly how much it would have been. That's the part that also really, really sucks for me because why it's like I'm even harder on myself about it because,
Uh,
you know, I I I I charge my tenants such a cheap rent for that. I know I could have gotten easily 850 a month for that property. I only charge them 675 for that property. I know that they're a family and they're good tenants. They obviously were there for years and I did not want to like charge them a whole lot. Um, it wasn't until like 3 months ago or so that I upped the rent a little bit to I think it was like 750. Um, but I didn't even want to do that. But anyway, so it does suck to think about like how like that's one of the things that I definitely obviously regret because now here I am dealing with this. No one should be coming in and violating somebody in that way, coming into their properties and destroying it. But for the fact that we live in a world that's something that it has to be a concern for, like that in itself just really makes me so upset and angry and sick to think about that because the vision that we have or I had or the thought of people being good in this world or having people that truly care and then you see like that wickedness and that evil of the reality of it like that really brings you to a different state of mind for sure.
yeah, I
So
imagine.
um but yes, for me, the fact that I didn't have insurance on it, like that sucks in itself. I wish I would have just, yes, done that and spent, the hundred or however much it was. When I had my house, I paid like 1,200 a year. So, for insurance on it, this was a mobile home. I don't know if it's different, especially with renters, if it's more or not. Obviously now since this has happened, that is definitely something I'm going to do. And I'll have to make adjustments in the price to, you know, cover that a little bit better. But I didn't think that this was going to happen. One, there's a police officer that lives right next door to this trailer. So there's a police officer. It's not in his district. He's in a
Uh-huh.
different jurisdiction than this part where he lives, but he's the neighbor. So like that's what's even more bizarre about it too. It's like,
That
you
takes
know, no
guts.
one, like nobody saw or knew or thought anything of it. I guess because the way that the people I have some leads on this, which kind of goes in a little bit with that last video that I sent to you. But
Well, hold on.
it
Before you go into your leads, save that for last. Um, because that's a juicy detail that I'm just learning myself. I want to go into in just a minute the other video you sent me, but what makes this video, the second one, even worse is that you're already feeling when you found out about this that level of betrayal um, as a co-citizen. You feel violated by someone in the community who would do this. It's got to be frightening to know that having a policeman living next door was no repellent for this criminal, but you actually also caught somebody on your property when you arrived trying to collect or steal items from your backyard. So we can't say that this individual was connected, but that's a scary situation to catch somebody in the act after knowing you were violated on the inside of the home.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely was. It was super like it was just so much emotions. Like I pulled up and I'm like, is there seriously someone just right there? He had his lawnmower on, so he was like oblivious to what was going on around him. So it worked out in my favor, I guess, because then I was able to like literally like walk up on him upon him.
Mhm.
I guess it could have been it could have turned out a little bit differently. But yeah, when I arrived, like I mentioned before, I was already, I guess, had it within me that there was going to be somebody there because I was supposed to be meeting the news reporter there. So that was, so that was kind of already on my mind. So then when I pulled up though, I was kind of like, I was shocked though to see that there was somebody out, like somebody in my backyard, and they have their lawnmower with their trailer on it, and they were taking items from the backyard that was left behind from my tenants. But
Let's
irregardless, they
let's
shouldn't have
take
been on the property.
let's let's take people there to see that because that's mind blowing. Like we said earlier, you're already feeling violated. You already feel like that hurt and betrayal from someone in the community who would do this to your home, but then you arrive on the scene to find somebody in the act of, another crime in the backyard.
Yeah.
Excuse me, what are you doing on my property? Get off my property.
And he shot you a bird like you were doing something wrong.
Yeah, that's what it was. So like I was so frustrated too because I was like, seriously, dude, you're literally on my property. On my property. It costs a little bit of money. But irregardless, like he was on my property. That's my property. And then he's acting like I'm doing something wrong. Like, dude, this is my home. This is my property, not yours. Why are you
Like
on my
you're
property?
here, you're here violating me. Like don't let me
Yeah,
inconvenience you. The nerve.
right. Like he's like cussing me out and like flicking me off and like I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Did,
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
did you feel threatened at this point?
I don't know if I really felt like everything it was just like happening so quick. Like, I mean, that seems like how everything's been. It's just been like, it feels like one blow after another with things that have been going on.
Mhm.
And then so it's like trying to like figure out like what to do and like how to process everything. But I think just everything was just moving so fast. I feel like just the fact that I knew that there was going to be police coming there and that the news reporters were meeting me there. If I would have been there by myself and didn't have them knowing that they were going to be there, I would have been so scared. Like I mean, I
Yeah,
was already shaking and scared because of the adrenaline and everything else that was going on in the moment. But
sure.
I think that that did help a lot, knowing that I had literally just got off the phone like almost an hour prior to the news reporter, and I knew that they were going to be there any minute. So I was able to chase him off my property. And then criminals are so stupid at times because he led me right back to his house. Like he went, I'm yelling at him getting off my property, and then he goes all the way back to his home. And so I was able to follow him with the record my camera all the way down to where he lived. So
I
he
bet
turned
that
into this.
irritated him too.
Probably, but he probably didn't think nothing of it. I mean, but just for the simple fact, like you would think like a criminal, I mean, I guess he was on his lawnmowers, like, he's like trucking along, like all slow down he didn't even put it in like full speed or something. I don't know, either that or he had a really slow lawnmower because he's just like trucking along. But I mean, you would think like a criminal, like they would jet it off into like not to his home. Like he wouldn't have gone home with all that. Like he would have
I mean,
maybe gone somewhere
truthfully, you
else.
caught one of your neighbors red-handed. Like, what else was his options? He could leave
Yeah.
them over there, and then that would become police evidence. He can't like
Yeah.
speed away like a NASCAR driver and off into the sunset he goes. Those tractors are limited, speed wise.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
had
but
him
like he didn't even
red-handed.
go to like fake out. Like he didn't even do like a fake out and like go to somebody else's house. Like he went, which he would, all the neighbors, like everybody there knows each other. Like these are people that have lived there for years and years and years. So cool story though about this trailer though. Kind of cool. I might leave out some of the details, but that trailer I actually stayed the night in when I was a kid. So that trailer was owned by one of my high school friends, and it was at a different trailer park at one point in time, and her parents owned it, and I stayed the night with her as a teen. And then somewhere along the line it got moved to this piece of property and I ended up buying it. So
Oh wow.
um and the person's family, her dad lives across the street from there. So it's weird how like it all connected. And then that person who owned it when I was a teenager I stayed the night with, her she's dating my sister's baby's dad. Like it's like a weird connection and story. But anyway, there's just so many weird
Okay.
things in my life apparently. But anyway, but yeah, so I've anyway, but yeah, this everybody's been around. Like the subdivision is like an established old subdivision. It's not like a trailer park or anything. Everybody owns property. So the property that I have there is about an acre and a half is what I own. So that trailer sat on about an acre lot. But anyway, so yeah, he went right back to his home. And then I was still shaken up about everything. I go inside because that was the first time I saw it in person. I had only saw pictures from that Saturday. So after he left and I chased him down the street or watched him go down with my camera, I went inside and that's when I saw it for the first time and I walked through it and I called the non-emergency line for the police again because they wanted me to call once I got to the property because they couldn't stay on the line, I guess. I guess that's how that works. But anyway, so I called them and let them know like I was at the property and to report everything. And so I was on the phone with them when the news reporters finally showed up. So I think when that happened, maybe it was about 5 minutes after I chased that guy off there, is when the news reporter had showed up. So
Now it's going to be $15,000 in damage. That's an estimation. It could be more than that right now. And you've got $600 you've been able to raise through GoFundMe. That is impressive, but we're hoping everybody who watches this shares it and likes it. And please go donate. I'm going to link that GoFundMe in the description of this video. And if you'll send me your Cash App or Varo or Zelle, whatever you want to share, your PayPal, I'll link all of those in the description too to make it easy and simple for everybody to get a hold of you and to make a donation to help you, become whole again.
yeah, that's definitely very much appreciated. And to know that there are people, even despite like how damaging this is and how like my worldview has really been shattered a lot through this.
Yeah.
It's also on the other side of things good to know that there are people out there that do care and that are
Yeah.
willing to help in any way and to help me be able to reestablish. Because yes, that was my only main source of income that I had for myself and my children. And that's a life altering type of situation for sure on so many different levels with it, because that really alters and changes the direction in life for myself and for my kids. And I'm praying and hope, that there are people who are willing to donate, because, even if, if I got enough people even to donate $5, that could get me hopefully where it is that I need to be. I mean, every
Yeah.
little bit counts and it is appreciated. And hopefully by the end of this, I can be able to get it reestablished, definitely get insurance on the property for sure.
Yeah.
And, even a security system if I need to, and then be able to re-rent it out and to start bringing in that money again to keep my family going. Because that's definitely devastating. So yes, it's definitely appreciated for anybody who's willing and wanting to donate, because
Yeah.
it
And for
does help.
anyone out there watching this, in this economy, $5 is not going to get you anything. But if we could all chip in and donate $5 to Stephanie to help her rebuild, all of our $5, it won't do anything for us individually. It could do a lot for her if enough of us can come together and do it. Uh, you're a single mom, and that was one of your main sources of income, and to just know that you're, basically financially crippled until you can get this fixed, it's devastating.
It is. Through this process so far, I've experienced so many different emotions. One being is just very vulnerable. I feel very vulnerable.
Sure.
You know, not only, because I'm a female, I know I could protect myself and my kiddos, but at the same time, like I feel like I'm so like dependent on so everybody else, and it's out of my control, out of my hands, and I really
Yeah.
truly do need people to help me. And so it's made me feel just so many different emotions. But I feel like one of the big ones that I've felt for sure is just that being vulnerable. I feel, I have a lot more anxiety, I guess, about things, when it comes to everything too as well. And so each day that I wake up, I'm still trying to do the same things that I was doing before this happened,
Yep.
still trying to be productive in every single way that I can. But of course, I have so many other thoughts I never would have thought I would have ever had thought before, because I've never experienced something like this. So there's certain thoughts and things that I'm having to process and work through that I've never had to deal with before. And so, yes, it's been definitely challenging for sure, and on many different levels with it. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with that right now. We don't have, so like I said, I did have some leads when it came to that, that I believe that was connected to my tenants,
Yes.
because these people didn't come around until I guess my tenants were in the process of moving out. And the day on November 2nd, when I met my tenants there was these two guys that came up, which was two different guys, and they pull up past me in a truck and just drive right around me and go into my backyard. And of course, I'm like, that was odd. And I felt very uncomfortable about that situation. So I immediately, hey, what's going on?
Hmm.
And they say, oh, Isaiah, which was the previous tenant, had sent them over. So I was like, oh, so I text my tenant real quick because they had just left. And I said, did you send these guys over here? And he said, yeah, they're supposed to be picking up some stuff in the backyard, because he had a whole bunch of cans. So he was having them scrap that. So anyway, so I was like, okay, I felt still very off about it, but then at the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, he lived there, I didn't, so I don't know the neighbors like he does.
Right. Yeah.
So, they were trying to take other items that were in front, like his rim and like more expensive stuff. And I stopped them and said, no, I'm pretty sure he doesn't want you to take these items. And those items were still there on the 8th, but when they went back on the 13th, they were gone.
Wow.
So that's where some of those leads are. So not only was that person that I caught in the backyard, which I don't think he was the one that did the damage, but if nothing else, he can point the police and the detectives, because they did call in a detective. So this is like big crime stuff. I mean, these people will go
Yeah.
to prison because this
Mhm.
isn't some little petty vandalism or theft. This is big crime stuff,
And
so there
all
is a
that
detective that
damage, hopefully they didn't wear gloves and they can lift prints, you know?
yeah, so the detective did find some evidence of things there. So hopefully, I don't know how long this stuff takes. I've never gone through obviously this before, so I haven't gotten any word as far as like anything like that. But we between my tenant and myself, we were able, I feel like, to give them enough leads to go off of, to be able to hopefully catch it. And even when they do catch this person or the persons who have done this,
Mhm.
there's no way I'm going to be able to get this money back. Like, it literally has to be by God's mercy and grace, working through other people that are willing to help me through this in order for me to overcome from this, because
Yes.
I'm there, the criminals that did this, I'm never going to be able to get anything back from this at all, so I mean, they'll go to prison, they'll have to go to jail because of this, but I'm not going to get anything from this.
Yeah.
And
They'll get
so
justice, but you won't. Unless we can get enough people to, feel charitable enough to send you 5, 10, $20. If they have a lot of
yeah, there's
money,
one lady who
100 or
sent me,
200, $500.
yeah, there was one lady who sent me $6, and I was like, thank you. Like,
That's $6.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. It's $6. And when you don't have anything, literally, I have nothing. Like, I'm so thankful that my family, we have a safe place to live right now.
Mhm.
But, like, I'm so thankful for that $6, like, for sure. Like, like, I'm so grateful for that, because, I've been out of income from that for well, since October. I used their deposit, their last months for that, to do that. And then, so I didn't have, I haven't had rent for this month. And then, based on the condition it's in and how things are going, I might be able to get it rented back out by January, February. So that means I'm going without income, for however many months now.
Mhm.
And so that's part of it that's so devastating too, is because now, right now I work towards my doula work, and I don't get paid very much for that. That I'm also in schooling for my midwifery. So that money that I make from my doula work goes towards my classes and my trainings for midwifery. So I accounted on solely for that income from that property as my living expenses for my family, and my utilities and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
now that's gone, I'm going to be out, from that money for months now, many months. And so how that's devastating for myself and my family is now, having to try to go find, yes, like another full-time job, which means that I'm not going to be able to be time with my kids. It's going to slow me down and cause me having a delay in my training and my classes, because in the evening times I'm going to be studying instead of being able to do it while my kids are gone at school. Like, it's just, obviously, it's going to impact so many different things and cause so many other issues that,
Sure.
like, I'm overwhelmed by it, because I am a single mom. So I don't have that second income or that support, and then of course making these big decisions and having to know which decisions to make when it comes to this too, because there are people who are willing to, that have reached out, but it's like knowing each person's intentions and knowing that okay, I have all these different options to go through, like, okay, making sure that I'm choosing the best option that I can, as well with it. It's just, there's
Yeah.
so much to it. So, but yeah.
Well, Stephanie, we will keep you in our thoughts and we're going to keep you in our prayers. And hopefully, everybody out there is going to dig real deep so we can help this home come back together and you can get your livelihood back. And
Well, I
really appreciate you
appreciate you
sharing it.
taking time. Yeah, I'm glad that you're able to help in that area as well, to get the word out. because yes, sharing it and getting the word out with it, to getting it to the right people in the right ears that are willing to help and be here to help through this is definitely what I need as well. So I appreciate it.